blast into this 80-foot mud pit. The S-Kicker. Finley drives it out of Boonsville, Virginia. How fast can he cover 80 feet, and can he stop at 80 feet? Those are the two questions we're about to answer. Oh, a super run, and he does shut her down in time. They love it in Providence. A great run for Jeremy Finley. He calls himself the Wild Man, and you can see why after this run. Look at that wheel come off the ground. Yet he sets it down, stays firmly in the mud pit, and this is how you stop it in time. You go sideways, you do what you have to, but you make sure you don't hit the barrier at the end of the 80 feet because that gets you disqualified in mud racing. Jeremy Finley and the S-Kicker laying down a shot that I think is going to land him in the shootout a little bit later. The Fast Four make it, and it's hard to believe four others can beat 1.748 because that's what Finley has just done in the S-Kicker. 1.748, a superb run. Well, we're going to look now at the Let's Boogie machine. This is Tony Fiore out of Canton, Michigan. Let's Boogie is a 1927 T Roadster. Stops it in plenty of time. A good-looking shot for one of the best in the business, Canton, Michigan driver Tony Fiore, and Let's Boogie. We're going to boogie over to the replay section right now to take a look at it again as Tony gets off the line in great shape. Nice, smooth run. Didn't have much of a wiggle in the middle at all. Kept it straight and shuts it down in plenty of time. Let's Boogie coming into your living room right now on Super Traxx. You can see how he kind of gets in the ruts there a little bit of what the S-Kicker laid down, but it didn't bother him at all. And it's a good run, 1.861. He needs to be one of the four fastest to get back in our shootout a little later. He's got a good chance with that run. Mike Spina and the Psychotic Beast next up. He comes out of Kingston, New Hampshire. Time to beat 1.748. Oh, yeah, he gets it shut down just in time and throws that right fist in the air. Mike Spina happy about that run as he gets it stopped in time. The Psychotic Beast with a legal run, and we'll see if it holds up as one of the Fast Fours this day goes on. Watch it again on the replay. Now, at the end of the 80-foot mud pit, you can see at the back of the vehicle there's a wire. That's the kill switch. It is actually pulled out of the vehicle at the end of 80 feet, so the engine immediately stops running. But you still got to stop the momentum. And look how close it was for Spina to get her stopped. He does it, though. And the Psychotic Beast has got to run at 1.982. Now remember, it's the four fastest runs in the first round that will get to come back in the shootout and determine our champion here at Providence on Super Traxx. Here's the young phenom of mud racing, 19-year-old Matt Ward in the Mystic Warrior out of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania. Stops it down in plenty of time. It's a good-looking run from Matt Ward and the Mystic Warrior. So at least for the moment, he'll be no worse than fourth fastest. We'll get a look at the run here on the replay. And Ward looked like he kept it pretty straight, but stopped kind of short in the shutdown area, and that would indicate that he wasn't going quite as fast as he wanted to be. You want to use up most of that shutdown area because that shows you had all the momentum you could at the end of 80 feet. And you can see here, Matt Ward has shut her down in plenty of time. Still, it looks like it's going to be a good run for Matt Ward and the Mystic Warrior. Coming right at you now as that Ford-powered machine is kicking up the rooster tail of mud here in Providence. Matt Ward, for the moment, will be the third fastest time we've seen so far at 1.906. So the time to beat is now 1.982. Mike Spina and Psychotic Beast will be on the bubble. Midnight Magic and David Ray, place down, New Hampshire, first to go after it. A solid run right there from Midnight Magic. We'll find out if it's good enough to make the Fast Four. You can see the U.S. Hot Rod official come into your screen there. He was disconnecting the cable that allows the U.S. Hot Rod officials to put the kill switch in. We've been talking about a safety factor that the U.S. Hot Rod Association has in all of its mud racing action. On the replay, you look at Dave Ray and Midnight Magic. The question is, was he fast enough to make the Fast Four? He has to get it under 1.982 if he's going to make it into that Fast Four here today. Another Ford-powered machine coming right at you on Super Traxx. Dave Ray, longtime championship veteran here with the U.S. Hot Rod Association. His time, though, is not going to be good enough to make it into our shootout today at 2.050. Again, the time to beat is the fourth best time. The 1.982 is what you've got to beat to get into the shootout. That's what Ron Smith's trying to beat in the Gold Fever 1948 Fiat out of Schoolcraft, Michigan. And good looking run right there for Ron Smith and the Gold Fever. We'll see if it's enough to put him on the gold standard today here in Providence, Rhode Island. Again, you can see the officials unhooking the kill cables from the back of the Gold Fever Fiat while we watch the replay. Ron Smith in good shape at Gold Fever. Again, the time to watch for is, did he beat 1.982? Because that's the fourth best spot so far. Let's get a look at Ron from our end zone camera. Note that he's going to really try to stay in the middle of the mud pit because of that rut on the right. He avoided it, and that was critical to having a successful run. A good shot down the middle, and at least for the moment, he's in the fast four. But at 1.952, that just means he goes on the bubble with this big gun coming after him. Paul Schaefer, the Mud Patrol, former Rookie of the Year out of Portage, Indiana. Oh, what a great job in the shutdown area by Paul Schaefer and the Mud Patrol. That's how you use up every inch that you have available to you. You turn it sideways, you stand it up on its nose, whatever you got to do, but you don't break that barrier at the end of the 80-foot shutdown area. And this is a classic example of how you do it. The Mud Patrol is just going to let it spin out and keep it under control sideways. Boy, what a pretty job of shutting her down by Paul Schaefer. Now let's watch the run. Again, as we pointed out with Ron Smith, you want to stay toward the middle. He does that. He stays out of the rut. And it's a good-looking run for the Mud Patrol. Is it good enough to get him in the fast four? He had to beat 1.95. Yes, he did. Paul Schaefer, Mud Patrol, 1.929. And at least for the moment, that's good enough to put him into the shootout. The Beef T Blue out of Intercourse, Pennsylvania. Here's Alvin Esch. Yes, indeed, he stops it in time. Beef T Blue with a legal run, but is it good enough to make it into the Fast Four shootout coming up later on Super Traxx? Beef T Blue had to beat a 1.929. Mud Patrol sitting on the bubble with that time. On the replay, Beef T Blue looks like he's in good shape, but whether he ever had enough speed is the only question we'll decide here. Another look at Pennsylvania driver Alvin Esch and the Beef T Blue. He comes out in pretty good shape, but he catches the rut right there that we've been talking about. That's going to cost him a little bit of time, and when you're talking about fractions, you just can't afford to have that happen. Beef T Blue at 1.9593 100ths of a second is all he missed the shootout by. Now, the three-time champion, Tom Martin and Super Trooper out of Portage, Indiana. No way that's going to be good enough, as the Super Trooper had all kinds of problems. And I think we're going to find it's that same rut we've been talking about on the right-hand side of the track that cost Tom Martin. Well, really, it looks like it was a bad start that got him, as he just leaped out of the starting block and got himself into the mud pit on air instead of on mud, and you don't want that to happen. Watch the start. All four wheels leave the ground, and then he hits that rut on the right-hand side. Just not the kind of run we're used to seeing from Tom Martin and the Super Trooper. And indeed, it is not enough to get him into the shootout today. 2.008, a disappointing shot for Tom Martin and the Super Trooper. So the Fast Four go into the shootout. The S-Kicker, Let's Boogie, Mystic Warrior, and Mud Patrol. Gold Fever barely misses out. Ron Smith will have to take it on home with Beef T Blue, Psychotic Beast, a disappointed Tom Martin and Super Trooper, and Midnight Magic rounding out the first round competition.
So the shootout in Providence will